acknowledges that we are located on traditional Blackfoot Confederacy territory. We are grateful for our delegation from STARS and for our Temple City Star. Thank you to see you. Hopefully things are getting better for you. We have an agenda, and if there are no additions, we could move it.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda of the Cardston Town Council meeting for the 14th day of January 2025.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. We all present. Councillor Granger is following the proceeding on Zoom. We have our delegations, so Jackie, if you would like to come, a delegation from STARS, and every year you come and report to us, and thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Mayor Cronin and Council. It's a pleasure to come back and bring you your annual update. It's a much nicer drive this year than it was last year.
Last year you had a little bit of a painful drive.
Yeah. So I will apologize in advance. I am a little bit croaky still, so I may need to pause and have a drink of water.
You're fine.
I'm not contagious, so that's good. So the big news is that finally this year is STAR's 40th anniversary. I'll also say hello to the fellow online there. So the anniversary celebrations have begun. You may have seen things on social media. And we continue to be the best hope for the critically ill and injured over these 40 years. And operating as a charitable organization, all of this time we operate at no cost to the patient, thanks to donors like you. Next slide. Oh, I think I have the clicker. Where do I click it? There we go. All right, so happy to report back to you that we did secure another 10-year service agreement with our largest donor, Alberta Health Services. So this is at the $15 million per year in block funding. That's the amount that we've been receiving since 2021. After that, we still must fundraise 56% of our operating budget in Alberta alone. So this comes from corporate, business, individual donations, community-driven fundraisers, the municipal initiative, thanks to you for supporting, and then also our largest fundraiser, the STARS Lottery, that brings in over $10 million each year. That almost pays for one base in Alberta. The lottery is now open, and you can purchase your tickets online or call the STARS base as well. There is another dream home in Lethbridge, so you can stop in and see that at some point. It'll be opening soon. So there's very much many different pillars that provide STARS with the sustainability to move forward. Here is a quick year in review. Now, I'm not going to go over this entire infographic, but I will highlight a few things on the second line there. Previously, we reported that there were 36,000 emergency requests every year through our Emergency Link Center. Now that is up over 37,000. Previously, 3,367 missions. Now, at our last fiscal year end, over 3,900 missions across our 6 bases in Western Canada. The newly assessed base cost is $11.4 million. You can also see down the right-hand side there the types of missions that we fly for. So number 1 is vehicle incidents, and after that it's cardiac. Then there's a mix of a little bit of everything else there. Ooh.
Right. Shem, can you go to the next one?
Next slide.
Click it again.
Click it again. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so STARS continues to be an essential service for all of us here in rural Alberta. We welcomed a number of new municipalities in the last year to the municipal initiative, and this map will show an overview of the different levels of support. Down here in southern Alberta, we're very happy to share that the town of McGrath has joined the municipal initiative, and we have a request pending with the village of Glenwood, and yet to reach out to Hillspring. Also, the MD of Tabor joined the initiative, as well as the town and the village of Barnwell, Fort McLeod, and a number of others across the province. So with the increase in missions and the cost of a base, we're thankful to have this additional support. So just a quick look at the different levels of support. So over 94% of rural Alberta municipalities are supporting STARS. Next, please. All right, so under the $2 per capita mark, those are featured across the map. Next.
Should work now.
It should work. Then there's a sea of blue. So this is across Alberta and Northeast BC, as you can see, that are our regional leaders. And these are contributing $2 per capita, anywhere up to $90 per capita. Many at a fixed rate of support and on a standing motion. Then we have our regional leaders that are at a much higher level of support, and when they reach the cumulative giving of $500,000, they are recognized with a logo unveiling on one of our helicopters. Regional partnerships continue to grow across the province. Soon, we will have a regional partnership in the MD of Tabor, with one more municipality to join. And we're working with it across Cardston County as well, with McGrath joining and reaching out to a couple of the others on a per capita basis. There's still a few non-supporters, but we are extremely thankful for the level of support that we receive from municipalities. This is something you've never seen before. We thought we would share a snapshot, basically a mission log from our Emergency Link Center. So this is an example of a day. On average, there's about 11 missions per day, and across all 6 bases to date, we have flown over 60,000 missions. STARS is borderless and share our air medical crew across all of the bases, as well as our assets. So the helicopters will move around a little bit as well. Just to give a couple of quick examples of how STARS provides critical care anywhere. With mission number 3, this was for a critically ill newborn. And STARS flew out the NICU team to where the critically ill newborn was, provided critical care, and then the baby was transported by ground ambulance. So I think that's just a very innovative way of bringing the level of care to the patient versus transporting the patient by air. Then also a rollover collision. Well, after the STARS transport physician received more information, the patient was no longer requiring transport, so we actually were turned around on this mission to be ready for the next critically ill patient. Also, a workshop explosion occurred, and the mission was canceled, and the patient was taken by alternate transport. So this is where the patient may not have been able to fly for different reasons due to altitude, vibration, etc. Mission number 10, this was a motor vehicle collision where the air medical crew came out to the patient and then went by ground with that patient to the hospital. So our STARS medical crew do travel across all modes of transport. And that's a day in the life through the Emergency Link Center. All right, just a quick recap on your mission statistics. Previously, we reported 6 to 7 missions per year. That has increased a little bit. This is throughout the entire Cardston County. So over the last 5 years, 39 missions, now averaging 8 missions per year, many of which you can see are still from as critical interfacility transfers the patient, if they were at the hospital, are still being transported to Fly with Stars. And I'm sure you'll have a few questions about that afterwards. A little bit of a look at your postal code project. 119 residents throughout Cardston County flown, 80 being right from Cardston since 2010. 37 residents were picked up in Cardston, and 82 residents were flown from 13 other locations across 2 provinces, in this case Alberta and BC. In many cases, we'll see them flown from, anywhere from Manitoba to deep into BC. This is testament to the value of our partnership, showing that your residents are flown from across Western Canada when they need us most.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So if you hop back to that last page, so ours is really high compared to everybody else except Lethbridge. Does that include the county when it says Cardston?
When it says Cardston, that is town residents. Yeah, so by accessing postal code patient information only,
Like
so
from our
this
hospital.
could, pardon me? If there is a rural person that does have a Cardston postal code, then that person would fall under these numbers, and unfortunately, there's no way for us to divide that out. Yeah, that's the only information we have to process.
So a Cardston person could live elsewhere, but if it's our postal code, it gets counted as the Cardston.
No, not necessarily. So if we go back to the other one, so when this says Cardston Hospital Interfacility Transfers 26,
Right.
that could include anybody that is passing through your area that ended up at the hospital. Where the postal code project shows actual residents with a Cardston
Address.
postal code. And the communities are listed below there of where they were flown from. Okay, so you know how innovative STARS is. We've had the night vision goggle capability for over 20 years now, universal blood on board for over 10 years, and now a new blood product on board. Previously, this was piloted in Saskatchewan and came to Alberta last year. So this blood product is called fibrinogen. And basically, if the crew member knows the patient needs more than 2 units of blood, they're able to administer this blood product that helps with blood clotting and essentially slowing down the bleeding. Some patients may, be on blood thinners or something like that, that this blood product will help counteract to reduce the bleeding. So it's really nice to see the innovation continue to provide the best chance for the patient. Yes, sir.
I'm assuming that blood product is available in the hospitals as well.
Well, we have it on the STARS helicopter. I do not know if it is in the hospitals.
We have it in the lab.
Yep, there you go.
Pardon?
I just
Yeah.
said we have it there.
Right on. Thank you for confirming that.
He works there.
Excellent. So STARS flew our longest mission last year, and I'll just share a little bit about how Doug McTavish was hiking, actually on a hunting trip, where they had driven to a river, unloaded their boat, went 5 hours up the river, and then hiked up into the mountains in a heavily wooded area. At this point, Doug realized he was having a full-blown heart attack. There was no cell service in the area, of course, up there, but they did have in-reach radios. So they were able to contact somebody in their emergency contacts and ask for some help. So basically, they wanted to dispatch search and rescue, but it was too late to dispatch them because it was soon going to be dark and they didn't have the night vision goggle capability. So they phoned the Emergency Link Center to see if STARS could help. Our Link Center did some coordinating and soon said, yes, we will dispatch from the Grand Prairie base. So they flew from there to Fort Nelson to refuel, and then to Chi House where the patient was. But not exactly to where the patient was, because they had to land on the opposite side of the river where they could find an opening in the trees. And then it took all 4 crew members with packs on their back to go across the river and hike up to where Doug was and assess him. Doug was still doing well, but was not able to move on his own, which was why they needed to go up there to get him. And so they brought him down across the river and into the helicopter. At that point, they had to go to Watson Lake to refuel, back to Fort Nelson to refuel, and then made the trip to Grand Prairie. At that point, the crew members stayed with Doug on Alberta Health Services fixed wing, which took him to Edmonton. This is our longest mission ever. Doug's story, he's, thankfully around to tell it. It's also available in video. And overall, 2,408 liters of fuel burned, 1,763 kilometers flown, 8.2 hours of flight time, and 5.3 hours with the patient. 1 life saved. So we're very proud of what our crew members can do, and it just goes to show that it's never too far for our next patient. So thank you, Town of Cardston. You are a regional leader at your $4,100 per year of fixed rate on a standing motion, which we greatly appreciate that sustainability that it provides for STARS. Aside from the helicopter arriving, we also provide that virtual response to the medical professionals at the hospital. So that is nice to be able to do that from afar without being here yet, If we still need to come, we can, of course, come. Together, we're enhancing rural health care. That wouldn't be possible without your partnerships. So a life is saved every day, and we thank you so much for partnering with STARS.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And carry on doing a fantastic work, saving lives.
Thank you.
Great. Any questions, comments?
Just thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right,
Very
thank
kind.
you very much.
Thank you for taking the time to do the presentation.
Absolutely. Please reach out at any time you may have questions.
I had talked to her about this, but you can put a bug in the ear of somebody so our helicopters doesn't have to land 10 kilometers away on rough roads. They used to land in town, but now, for whatever reason, AHS or the province has deemed that it's not safe to fly over Cardston, although they fly over Calgary and Edmonton constantly. So I say this every year, it's too bad we have to go that far to access. I mean, they have to drive in here, get the patient, drive them back out there, and that's a bit of a...
Yes, I do recall this topic coming up last year as well, and
They don't know, maybe.
we encourage you to continue those relationships and conversations with Alberta Health Services and with your partners in the area to try and, establish a place for a helipad. We do have a member from our STARS aviation team that is on the Alberta Health Services helipad committee, but that if, that particular helipad isn't possible, then, we just really encourage you to continue conversations with people in the area. And STARS is there on an information level to provide information about the importance of a helipad and what we do and how it's working to help educate the community and groups. So I recognize your concern. And we just keep showing up where we can. Alberta Transportation controls the flight paths as well as where we can land. So when we're dispatched, even if we're landing out on a gravel road, and we're only allowed to land in one place twice, basically, and then it's flagged we have to land a little bit different coordinates in another location. So we continue to kind of maneuver around this. We're there for the next patient. We're just thankful, hopefully that continues to work out, somebody being able to, bring the patient or bring the staff to the patient, so,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, well, I wish you a great first meeting tonight, and
Thank you very much.
thank you for having me.
Thank you. Take care. Do we have our next
yet.
delegation?
7:30, Mayor.
I will leave our Horizons magazine with you.
Thank you.
Did you? Okay, sure. You can put that on the coffee counter if you want.
Sounds great.
And I will mail a couple calendars to you. I ran out, and so.
Thank you. 5:30.
At 7:30.
It says 5.
It says 5:30.
Why don't I I'll get in the right hours to hear yes, 5:30.
10 minutes.
Okay. All right, so what we're going to do to item 4, we're going to adopt the minutes of the December 10th meeting.
I make a motion to adopt the minutes of the December 10th, 2024 meeting.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much. All right, so may as well carry on. There are a few amendments we need to do in some bylaws. 5A is bylaw amendment 1582J, utility rate bylaw. There is a little glitch with the institutional rate. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's correct, Mayor. When we passed this last time, the variable rate in the institutional sewer charge was not where we wanted it to be.
I was
So,
wondering about that.
you weren't, Counselor, come on. Yeah, it's a sea of numbers, and that one got away from us a little. But when we went to change rates with NMAX, we realized that that one wasn't at the proper rate. So we're just seeking first reading tonight, and we can do 2 readings at the next meeting if you'd like.
Okay.
Mayor, when it's only a correction like that, we could do all 3
You
tonight
could.
and get a better.
Personally, it does not affect the resident except the institutional.
I'll move
So-
first reading.
Okay. All in favor? Thank you.
I'll
So,
move second reading.
all right. All in favor? Thank you. We need to allow for third. Councillor Granger, you want to allow for third? Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Need a third reading. Councillor Jensen?
Yes, I make a motion to allow for third reading of the amendment to 1582J.
Thank you. All in favor?
Just the motion not to allow, that's what she meant.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a motion to, no. It's a motion
We already allowed.
to
Pass.
Amend.
pass the amended utility rate.
Right.
Yes.
So her motion is third reading.
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't, but
Oh,
she said to allow. But we
oh,
already
yeah,
did
no,
that.
it's just for third
Sorry,
reading.
not to allow. Okay, all in
Yeah.
favor? All right, thank you very much. So maybe let's do the next one. We have a few minutes. Draft bylaw amendment 1649P, electricity distribution tariff bylaw. So Jeff, apologize for the errors.
Yeah, we had a couple things that got away from me last time, and this year, more than any year, has been really oddly complicated in this distribution bylaw. But there's just a couple of things I wanted to bring to your attention, and one of them is new since last time we talked. So I have on here a number of schedules that we're looking to be updated. We simply, for the most part, they're almost exactly what you had before. We've just pushed out their effective date. We did, Schedule A had just a couple of small errors, but we had omitted a rate that we were seeking to put in there. And I don't know how much you even want to delve into this, but humor me for a minute because I think it is important. On page 7 of Schedule A, there's a rate called CRD 300, electric vehicle charging. And we've been toying with this rate for a little while, and I just wanted to explain to you why administratively we think this is an important rate. And we're just looking at the commercial zones right now. So we have a couple of electric vehicle chargers in town right now. And one of the challenges with electrical vehicle chargers, and again, we're only talking distribution and transmission rates here right now. That's the only space we play in, is they are both capacity and demand measured. So when you hit a high demand, for the next year, essentially, you're charged based on that peak demand. And what happens if you are, well, we have 2 chargers. If they're not heavily used and they have a very inconsistent but volatile demand, what happens is you set this incredibly high peak demand that your entire facility is now billed on for the year, even though you may have really low consumption at your charger. But especially if it's a high, like we'll use CSL as the example here, very high capacity charger, you know, state-of-the-art modern chargers, but set an incredibly high demand level. So we were looking at the industry, and Fortis and ATCO have recently come out with EV charging rates. And what they've done is they've essentially made the rate a variable rate, and so you do not set a high peak demand. And you're charged your distribution and transmission based on the consumption from that charger. So it does a couple of things. If you own a charger commercially, it's very difficult to determine what your rate for electricity you should charge should be, because you don't know how your peak demand is going to impact the rest of your bill. In this case, what we do is we break down the system usage charges variably and say, you're going to pay us X amount per kilowatt hour that you charge out. But you're not going to have a high base rate, and it's not going to impact your demand at the meter. And so what this allows is it allows for the operators of our EV chargers, and over time there may be more of these in the community, and different businesses may take them up, or different entities may take them up. And this will allow them to be able to manage their rate very well. So they know our variable rate, and they know what they're paying for electricity. And the total of those things plus their profit margin that they want is now the rate they charge. And that won't spike their overall facility bill if they go down this road. So we found that this is something we should do to keep pace with industry. So the one challenge with this is that, again, if you're the operator, you have to put those chargers on a separate meter. So they can't be on the same meter as the rest of your operation, and so there are some costs to do that up front. But our hope here is, and we'll work through with our charger entities, is that will pay back relatively quickly. Because again, and I don't want to speak for CSL, but I'm just using them as an example, when they set that massively high peak demand, their whole operation now is going to be charged based on that high peak demand. So if they can pull that peak off of the most of their operation, that bill should come down, and they have a variable charge that they're recouping 100% of that cost at the charger. And so we think that's potentially a more fair way to go. I will admit this is new territory for us, and so I'm very interested to work with both ATCO and with CSL to watch how billing unfolds. We really do want to work with them and make sure that that's rolling out as everyone anticipated. But this is a new rate, and we've never done a variable rate. Well, I'm going to be honest, no distributor has until EV chargers have kind of come on the scene. And we think that that's going to be a benefit to them while still covering our costs for servicing the system.
Thanks. So essentially, you want...
I would like 3 readings on this one. I just want to mention 2 other things. So that was Schedule A. Schedule B1 is retailer terms and conditions. So these are the rules that electricity retailers have to play by when they sell electricity in town. NMAX made a number of changes relative to risk in their terms and conditions. We have mimicked those in our terms and conditions, is what that is. And the rest, and I know this sounds so petty, but the regulated rate option, as you recall, is now being called the rate of last resort. That's the new terminology. And anywhere in our documents that we had the word option after regulated rate, we had to remove the word option, because the only option is the rate of last resort. So that there actually aren't options.
Yeah.
The one you get is the rate of last resort.
Yeah.
And so we had to go through anywhere that it said regulated rate option, which was in Schedules D, E, and F, and we removed the word option. And that's all that changed in those.
All right, so we're going to do 2 reading, allow for third, and do third. Councillor Kenley?
2 or 3? You already got one?
No, we do
going
not
to-
have one. No, this is
You
new.
want 3
All
readings?
3.
Okay, I make a motion for first reading of bylaw amendment 1649P.
Okay, any other questions? No? All in favor? Thank you. All right, we need to do second reading.
I would like to receive second reading for bylaw 1649P.
Okay, electricity distribution. All in favor? Thank you. Now we need to allow for third. Councillor Granger? Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Now, let's allow for,
I'll make a motion, move third reading on bylaw amendment 1649P.
okay, all in favor? Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Council.
So that is done. It is 5:30 and we have our delegation. Would you like to come, Debbie? Thank you. Welcome to council.
Thank you. Okay, I'm just reading a letter. I believe you
Thank
already
you.
have a copy of it. To Mayor Cronin, council members, and to Mr. Shaw, CAO. I'm writing to express my profound disappointment in the recent process surrounding the review of the Town of Cardston Library Board budget for 2025. I have been the treasurer of the Town of Cardston Library Board since 2001, and all that time I've never felt like quitting until now. I'm a chartered professional accountant. I love to read, and I've always felt the library was the place to give service back to my community. I have saved the library, and in turn the town, thousands of dollars in accounting and bookkeeping fees over all those years. However, after listening to the disparaging remarks made by several members of town council about myself, the library board, and our library manager at the December 10th town council meeting, I am questioning my commitment to this organization. Why would I give so much of my time to a town council that thinks I don't know what I'm doing? I just want to add a couple sentences that aren't in the letter you've been given. It's just information. Someone asked me to quantify the value of services that I've provided to the library over the years. And this is what I've done each year in addition to attending board meetings. I do monthly bookkeeping and bank reconciliations. I do monthly payroll calculations. I sign checks. I prepare T4s. I do the workers' compensation annual return. I prepare the GST returns, the charity returns. I prepare that budget, and I work with the year-end external accountant. And these are services you didn't have to pay anyone. I volunteered my time at an easy, seriously, $10,000 a year. I've saved the library and in turn the town in excess of $200,000, at least. Okay, so now back to my letter. We're losing our library manager earlier than expected as a direct result of town council's December 10th remarks. Donna Beezer is retiring early. She has been the best library manager for the last 17 years. She, along with a talented and dedicated staff, helped turn our library into a true hub of the community. The library's success was built on a strong partnership between the board, staff, and municipal support, and it's disheartening to see how these recent events may affect that success. I reviewed the code of conduct for municipal councilors, and after watching the footage of the December 10th town council meeting, I don't feel this council has met that code of conduct. And I noticed the video is now gone from the town website. I was troubled by false statements made by the councillor assigned to act as a library advocate. In particular, the town councillor stated that the library manager was not cooperative, and this is untrue. The problem was the town councillor was vague with a request for information. Under instruction from the library board, the library manager was told to wait to respond until an actual question had been asked. This raises concern not only about the accuracy of information being presented to town council, but also about the way in which these statements were made publicly about the library to town council. It was interesting to see that other councillors were quick to agree with false information at that meeting. We understand the town council has been looking at per capita costs and comparing the Cardston Library to other Alberta municipalities. You forget that we're providing services to Cardston County, and Blood Tribe residents. So the per capita costs are skewed, and it's not in Cardston's favor. Trying to put all that cost blame on the library board is an undue burden we shouldn't have to have. The library board is more than willing to work with the town to look at cost-saving measures. We consider the library to be part of the town operations. It would be interesting to see if the town office will look at the same cost-saving measures for their office. We can't go back and unbuild the library. It has costs associated with its very existence. It's a well-used, integral part of the community. The majority of the library's annual expenses are wages, and it takes people to run a library, just like it takes people to run a town office. We can look at working with a skeleton staff. We can cut service hours, and we can cut programs for children. We can buy fewer books. We can even repurpose the building if the town wants to do that. But I want the town council to know that we take the operations of the library very seriously and are not spending frivolously. The library board's financial records are open to all. The detailed budget is available to all. In fact, it was given to our town councillor at a library board meeting, as well as emailed to a town employee on November 12th. I don't know why the town council didn't have it at your December 10th meeting, where it was mentioned by our town councillor the library doesn't have to provide that detail, but we already had. And finally, the year-end financial statements are available to all. No one should ever say that there's no financial information available from the library board. I trust the town manager and the municipal council will take these concerns into account as they continue to work with the library board and seek to strengthen the relationship between the town and its public services. The library remains an essential part of our community, and I hope we can continue to work together to ensure it remains a vibrant and successful resource for all our residents. And thank you for your time and attention to my letter.
Debbie, thank you for taking the time to do this presentation. It never was the intent of this council to offend anyone. If we have, I apologize.
Okay, you've offended our entire board.
Now, I'm sure that there are some around the table that may want to ask you some question. Are you willing to take questions?
Yes, but if I don't have the immediate answer, I will reserve.
You will not,
the right,
and I will appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay? So is there somebody that want to talk at this point? Councillor Jensen.
Yeah, I appreciate your letter, Debbie, and I do want to say that.
And I don't go by Debbie, just so you know. I've never gone by Debbie.
Deborah.
It's Deborah.
I'm sorry, Deborah?
Thank you.
Sorry, my
Okay,
apologies.
my apologies. So I want to state that she does come to every library board meeting with a spreadsheet of the budget and everything, and it's wonderful, and she does a fantastic job. I do have a few concerns because I have heard that our January 20th meeting has been postponed. Is that correct?
Yes, our board chair is out of town until the 21st, and then I'm leaving the 22nd for a few days. There was no date to do in January, so we've had to move it back to February, and by then, we're now, our third Monday in February is Family Day, so we bumped it a week forward. So there was no point in moving January's back just to have February's early.
Okay, so, and with that email, there was Donna's resignation letter, I believe.
Yes, she has given us her resignation.
And there was, it also mentioned the change of library hours, I believe.
Well, we've received a letter from the town asking us to start with a $10,000 budget cut. The easiest way to cut some budget is to not be open on Saturdays and to lose those wages. That was the simplest, quickest way for the beginning. We will discuss other things at our future board meetings.
So those two items have not yet been approved by the board then?
We've put it out. No, we've put it up for notice on at the library, I believe, and we'll approve it at the board meeting. So the hours probably won't actually be cut until we've had a board meeting.
Okay, because.
We need to give patrons notice. And if we can go back and say, oh, we're not going to, then that'll be fine. We felt the need to move.
Okay, my concern is that for whatever reason, I didn't receive that email.
I apologize. Those come from Donna.
So,
I apologize.
and as an appointed board member, I would think that I should receive that email. But my other concern is that because we're looking for a new library manager, and because we're considering changing the hours, plus we have the issue with council's desire to add a working group committee and the ACP grant committee. We have those items as well as your letter that I would think that would need attention soon. And
I agree, and we will get to them soon.
I can't see why we would, I don't think that we, who, in hiring a new library manager, and it's the job of the library board, we need to appoint library board members to interview the people who are applying for that position. And so we need to have
Yep,
those
those
people in
emails will be
place.
coming. We are,
And so I can't see the sense in waiting until sometime in February.
some of it will be done by email beforehand in January. But we have advertised for a new library manager because we need one. Donna will stay on as long as needed. She's not leaving us high and dry. She's given her notice to the end of February and said she'll stay longer if it's needed.
Yes. I understand that she wants to pursue something else for the next 10 years or
Be
so.
whatever she wants.
So,
Any more questions, Councillor? Councillor Brown?
Am I good?
Are you?
First of all, thank you for your letter. I appreciated it. I was a part of that meeting, and I know the amount of work you do for it. I know you're my own personal accountant and have been for years, and you are well worth every single cent that everyone pays you except the library in the town of Cardston. I'm sorry about that. It breaks my heart that that comments that were made during that meeting were offensive because they shouldn't have been, and I'm really sorry about that. That's not fair. And I appreciate the volunteer hours you have put in, along with the whole board of volunteers, because all of them, except our head librarian and our counselor, are paid, and everyone else is a volunteer. And I just think it's incredibly important for us to understand the amount of volunteer hours. So on behalf of myself, thank you for coming, and I apologize if anything was said during that meeting that that was taken the wrong way, because it shouldn't have been said.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Jensen?
Yeah, I would just like to add that I think that a lot of the problem is that the role of council and the role of the library board are maybe not really understood. And I think that I really want to sit down with you and the rest of the board and work things out. And there's no other way to do it than to sit and talk and to try to figure out where things went wrong. If I offended you, I'm sorry. I don't know, that I actually need more specifics of what I said that offended you, but that can be dealt at a full board meeting.
Right, which we try to keep to an hour. And Councillor Jensen, I'm a volunteer. I don't have hours and hours to go over this. We will carry on, we will run the library, we will hire a new manager, and at that point, I'll decide if I'm staying or not.
and it's fair.
Okay.
Thank you, Deborah,
Okay.
for your presentation. And there is no mistaking, we appreciate the library and its role in our community. That has always been a treasure in this town. That we need to work together, maybe find ways to improve the operation. That is something we have done even for our own council.
Of course, and we
And
are
I think that's
open to
great.
that.
And I think that is a great move forward. So let us move together, working toward that aim. And I appreciate all what you've done. I know what it is to do books and works and stuff. I've done it for other organizations. I'm not qualified like you are, but I know the amount of hours it requires to do that. So thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. And Jeff will work with you trying to figure out when we can
Yeah,
move this together when you have your full board.
Yeah, we're open to that. There's always ways to save money, but it's a discussion between groups. It's not
Yes.
a unilateral
No,
decision.
and I appreciate that comment, totally right.
Okay.
Thank you, Deborah. All right, let's move on. 5C. 5C, it's a shared donation policy we had as part of the ICF with the county. But honestly, we never used it. Therefore, if we don't use it, there's no sense to keep it in the books, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd simply defer to the ICF committee for that one. That was your business.
Right.
So Councillor Court and myself and Jeff met on that very thing on Monday and talked about it. And yeah, I mean, essentially, just exactly like you said, why do we have this if we're not using it? There's no point to it, essentially, is what we
The
agreed.
intent 3 years ago when we were sitting around the table was good, but it's never developed anywhere.
No.
So why have it?
Yeah,
Can I ask a question? So when I read it, it sounded like it was a good idea, you know?
yeah.
Like,
Well-
would the other option be to use it?
It-
Well, it's hard to get together with them is the biggest issue, I
So
think.
just practically, it's,
Yeah.
Practically, it's not working. The groups are not using the two level of municipalities to their advantage. And therefore, they come here, and then they still go over there, and they never want to come together, so it doesn't work. So essentially, let's carry on doing it the way we used to do it. Yeah.
So I would like to make a motion to rescind the policy of policy D-30-1, shared donation policy.
Councillor Burton?
so, yeah, again, it seemed like a good idea.
Well,
But,
it was a
So-
very good idea, I thought.
so if we were to rescind this, and the county,
They are
because they would have a
rescinding it too.
reciprocal agreement,
Yeah.
right?
They're rescinding it
Or policy,
also.
oh, they are?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
all right.
You can work both ends to the middle. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the principle, as long as, you know, some of the things, because you're exactly right, they come here and they go there and they, you know, whoever says yes first, they go to the other one. It just, more coordination would be better than less coordination.
Councillor Burton, I think maybe what we need to do is maybe in our donation request, maybe we need to kind of strengthen the
That might be the
area where it
solution, yeah.
said, are you going to,
Other municipalities.
right. And there is something to that effect, but maybe it needs to be reworded to be a little bit stronger.
I
So
got some
that we
notes on that.
That
understand.
makes sense, yeah.
So that we understand exactly what the game that's being played. Okay? So we have a motion to rescind. All in favor? Thank you. It's rescinded. So the other one is something that Councillor Burton, you worked really hard on. The draft policy, F30 facility conduct policy. Do you want to
Yeah,
talk
so
about
council's seen
it?
this a couple of times now. Based on your feedback, there's just a couple of things that were changed under duration of probation, section 4.
years.
we did up to 7 days for minor infractions, and then repeated or severe have a 30 to 2 years. And then what we put in there was an appeal process, and yes, if any of you see it, I found the spelling mistake in that. I'll get that
Yeah.
fixed. I rely too much on spell check. But the appeal process essentially says that an individual can come to me as a CAO and appeal that, and I have so many days to respond. But ultimately, you're the elected officials, and so if they don't like my response, they do have the opportunity to submit an appeal to council, and then you have a week following the next council meeting that it's on the agenda to reply.
Yeah,
So I think Jeff did a good job of that. My
that's
concern with having, longer than 2 years, for example, is our expulsion could exceed a criminal sanction,
Yeah.
and that would seem odd. I'm not even sure if that were ever challenged in court, we could uphold it for that long.
Yeah.
So that was a concern there. And then the appeal process, I just felt like we need somebody other than the one writing the letter in the first place, to appeal to the same person ultimately who, the penalty is kind of pointless.
yeah, no.
So that's why I thought, well, if it stops here, because
So
we
how-
represent the community as a whole, right? And if it's a safety issue, we're probably the ones to do it.
Counselor, do you want to put that motion forward?
Yes, so I move,
F30. You're
First-
just moving
Well, it's 'cause
adoption.
it's a policy,
Yeah,
right.
just adoption.
that's right. So I move that we adopt the
Policy, yeah.
policy in F30, the facility conduct policy.
Okay, any other question, comments? All in favor? Thank you very much. All right, so now we're moving along, we're not doing bad, councillors. Under 6.
For it? No.
Yeah. Main Street, 6A, Main Street, streetscape items. They want our opinion on different designs to kind of beautify.
I just
Things.
wanted to mention here, we didn't have a CCW. I know this is the golf course.
I know.
They're very CCW type items, but because we didn't have one, Associated is just seeking some guidance, saying, do you really like something? Do you want us to look at this more? I don't think you necessarily have to say we only want option 1 or 2, but saying we do like these ideas. I have some thoughts and concerns too, but just looking for that feedback.
Can I just mention
No,
something?
yeah, sure.
When I look at those benches as, the style of benches has always been an issue in this town. What I'm looking for a bench would be more the one that sits 3 people on that bench but have
No
separation.
dividers.
So that you sit,
Yeah.
you don't lie down on it. And I think in this town it might be better.
If you put the divider in there.
So that would be a better design, in my opinion.
Or dividers with no back.
Well, yeah, whichever. But go ahead, Councillor Burton.
So my only thought was, it asks us to choose between more modern and more rustic.
Yeah,
I would guess that rustic goes better with town than modern. And then I have a question for them to consider. So they had the 2 surface types,
yeah,
stamped concrete
Yeah.
and
and the colored one.
2 comments on that. One is that I'm guessing stamped concrete is cheaper because of the labor. But anyway, I think, okay, thanks. And then I just wondered if we required the shop owners to clear the snow from their areas, and we just want to make something that was snow shoveling friendly. Just-
Stamped is not.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
why I looked at it, like if your
Cement,
shovels
yeah, no,
doing
no,
this every
that's not
step.
good.
So anyway, just those 2 thoughts is rustic's probably better, and then cost might be a consideration, but shoveling is also a consideration. This all looks great in the summer, but in the shovel period.
Councillor Granger and Councillor Jensen. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Can't get option 2. get option 2 to come up.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Councillor Jensen?
if there's a riot, there won't be.
Yeah, I echo Counselor Granger and whoever that, I don't really care for the wood because I just see it having graffiti on it, people drawing in it, and whatnot. And so I like the metal. I like your idea of the divider benches. I like that. The other thing that I was wondering about was you have the curbed like planters, where the trees and brushes are. And I just wonder about, because we're an elderly community, is that running the risk of someone elderly tripping on that little curb or something when they get out of their cars? But, other than that, I'm fine. I think they've done a great job.
So you were doing with option 1?
So option 1 for me, but I'm not in favor of the raised planters.
Nope.
Because the same thing of what we just talked about, I just think, that's just not wise for us. That was my 2 cents.
Option 2
Yeah.
orders, I don't have option.
Councillor Granger?
Let's say BAMP.
I don't know option 2.
Okay, Councillor Kenley.
I was gonna say, Counselor Granger, I think we would love that in the town. I think it's because of our town situation, it's a place for people to sit and lay down. That's all we're talking about. In the sense of like the raised planters and seating, that's all we're talking about. Like, we would love it, but I just think it's gonna cause issues with vagrants and stuff like that. That's all.
Councillor?
So, we're trying to promote SEPTED concepts in our community, and I'd hate to be an offender in that same process, like to look back at ourselves and say, geez, you've kind of undone the good that you did. We helped this guy, but now we've provided the alternative, so I don't know. I think that's just in my mind, one of the reasons we're looking at Main Street. And only one, but one is what I'll call our Main Street issue, and SEPTED, we need to be self-reflective on that principle.
We can call it good.
Okay, so Councillor Burton, would you want to have the SEPTED committee then look at those designs?
Well, my understanding was that they were,
Yeah.
like that was part of what we've
Already
hired them
have.
for. Not just our committee, but these guys.
So
I
that
thought that was
design
one of their
already-
design principles, if you will.
Okay, so that design already reflect the SEPTED?
I don't know that, Mayor. What I would
Okay, so
say
that's-
is,
We have not seen it.
I would
as a
hope that
septet
it would. I don't know
committee,
that it does, but I
Okay,
would hope
so
that it would.
that's what I'm wondering.
This is the first time I'm seeing it as a septet.
yeah, no, we haven't brought it to the SEPTED committee. You're right. They hired a third-party consultant to come in and do an evaluation of the Main Street to show areas where SEPTED was a concern. But the point that I've taken here is that when I'll talk to Daryl is that these kind of furnishings and lighting and everything you're looking here, it needs to absolutely align with SEPTED principles, right? Or it's counter to what we're trying to do here. So that can be a first screening here. You know, I
Okay.
don't want lighting that is much lower lumens or casts a smaller array, or, you know, we want to be cautious about that kind of
Yes.
stuff. Yeah,
Okay, so
good comment.
Councillor Granger?
Oh, we're talking about.
Absolutely not.
Does he know what we're talking about?
No.
Okay,
We'll look at it.
okay, thank you.
I just wonder, Councillor Granger, if there's some differentiation between a place that's predominantly a tourist place and one that predominantly isn't. So if you go to Waterton, I like the planters there, and I like being able to sit and eat my ice cream cone, because I paid enough for it. I hope it lasts long enough. I'm really going to enjoy it. So, you know, all those types of things, I fully agree with you in a Waterton or a Banff, but here, we do have some tourism, and we want more tourism, but I think if we don't solve our other problem, we're going to have less tourism.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Okay, Councillor Granger, we heard you, thank you. I think that administration will contact the designers of that Main Street and try to make sure that we're following the SEPTED principles, which is what we need to do. So thank you very much. We will.
Question for Josh, are we scheduled for another meeting with the SEPTED?
Not at this time.
Okay. It'd be something you might want to look at.
Thank you. Thank you all for your input. All right, so we now have under 6B, the Global Builds Daycare Project. They are interested to move forward this year if they can have some land and utilities.
So,
Building.
on this one, what I was curious, council, is, you know, we have their presentation, we have their letter. They're looking for us to start making preparations, if we're interested in this, as setting land aside and designating where that can go, and I think that might all be good and fine. My question for you, though, I want to take a step back, is that presentation they made was to me, and I've tried to relay that to a large degree, but would you be more comfortable having them present to you so that you could ask your questions of them before we proceed any further?
Councillor Burton.
to me, personally, I'm quite happy to have you do it, but,
And I understand, yeah.
but last meeting, I raised some issues. So, you know, what they've done looks phenomenal and all the rest of it. And we could use it in our community, all of those things. And I've made the comment, I don't know that we want to be in the business. So I'd ask some questions like, when the buildings needs a new roof, who puts the roof on?
We do.
You know, just lots of those very practical, it's great for the ribbon cutting, but then what does it look like after that? That's my big
Okay,
concern.
So, do you mind? If you look in that presentation, there is an area in that presentation that explains exactly what you are talking about, and I was looking
And I
at it
confess I
myself.
didn't read it, it's still hard for me to read right now, so.
It says, the municipalities own the buildings or infrastructure once completed, then there is somewhere a little diagram that shows what the owner is,
Like, it's page
Number
11 of their presentation, Mayor. But
page
in short,
11.
the owner provides, if you don't mind, Mayor, the
Go
owner
ahead,
provides
please.
15 years of rent for $1, so we give them the property. Snow removal and lawn care,
Right,
garbage pickup, maintenance of the overall mechanical function of the building, including major HVAC, building envelope, and plumbing after the term of warranty and insurance.
okay. So in other words, we own the building, but as a landlord, we're responsible for the upkeep.
So my opinion is personally, the town of Cardston has a lot going on right now with projects we are trying to build. And we just talked to the library about a building and having them cut costs and do all these things. I just don't think getting another building for the town to have to do a roof, do a this, do a that, upkeep. I feel like, I don't think it's not a good idea, but I think the town isn't there right now. That's my personal opinion. And we need to be
agree.
wise.
I don't know what it's gonna cost to build this building, but we're responsible for that as well.
No, we aren't responsible for
no,
the
no,
capital.
no, no,
we're not
no,
responsible for
not
the
at
capital.
all.
Building then,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
So
Might change my
after the
tune a
ribbon's
bit.
cut.
No, no.
Then we got it,
What,
okay.
go ahead, Counselor.
No, I mean, yes, counselor, it is fantastic. We don't have to put it up, but
No.
we just did this with other buildings and now we own them and now we have to maintain them and. I
You're gonna
just,
talk about another one in 2 items.
I'm aware. So I'm like,
Okay.
Like the one part.
We don't have to take care of that.
I get it.
I hear what you're saying. On the other hand, I also know that when we have spoken with the hospital manager, that their greatest issue with not being able to recruit properly in this town is a lack of daycare. And that is an issue, it can become an issue for teachers, and it's an issue for workers in the different health facilities that we have, not only the hospital, but the long-term care. And so I'm thinking sooner or later, unless we start to look at that issue, we take away the opportunity of growth in this town too. I hear the issue of the finances is definitely an issue, but I also see what the town needs for the future, and can we ignore the future?
I just need clarification. I went through this, but I obviously missed some of it. So it's built, who's responsible for the staffing?
No, that do,
They do that.
yeah,
So they would bring in their own staffing for this.
yeah.
Okay.
That's the whole thing. So that is a whole new group of people
So basically,
coming,
we're responsible for
You're a
making sure the
landlord.
buildings.
right.
Well, you're a landlord for $1, right? So,
Doesn't sound like a good deal.
just, if I might, Mayor, so everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
They provide the daycare service, they pay all the utilities, they provide all the furniture, materials, equipment, all of that. They enter into a routine maintenance contract, and they recruit and hire staff to operate the facility.
And they are well-funded. They have grants that that talk about all the model. The model it's a good model, it works, it's already in place. But it's how much do we want to look into the future and prepare for the future? That's a problem. Councillor Granger, Councillor Burton? I can't hear you. The land. The land.
Major facility components, major HVAC, plumbing, structural.
The land?
The land, yes, we're putting up the land, we're servicing the land. So yes, it's a service piece of property. Correct,
Okay.
yes,
All right.
yes, correct,
Yes.
correct.
So
Roberta.
my comment, I agree with Councillor Brown's comments. Because one alternative is private, people doing it. And I just want to make the comment that at the MPC level, we understand the need, and we're very open, and we've approved 2 of these. They've never come off. And that tells me that it's a provincial regulation issue, probably, right? So people come in, they're excited, and something we need, it's a little business for them. It's, any home-based business, we're happy to support, but they don't come off. So it's not a problem with the MPC,
Right.
but it might be a problem with provincial regulations that are so stringent that it's just not worth it to them. I don't know, but that's the other alternative, is we try to facilitate as much as we can private people doing it, and I'm just saying the MPC gets that, and we'll do that.
Yeah, this is well-regulated, and when it comes to children, well-regulated
understandably.
is important to me.
Just a quick question, Jeff. Have they done this in Alberta already? All these examples are out of Winnipeg and Manitoba.
Correct. So they've done this, was it 13 facilities, I believe, in Manitoba?
Yeah.
No, so Alberta, what they're doing is they're looking to negotiate with the provincial government to be the provider for this across the province.
They have 10 different locations
So
that
before
they're
anything
working on.
happens, they have to go through the province.
Correct, and they're saying that it's we know that the provincial government has federal money to roll out daycare. That was announced quite some time ago, actually, but the province has never decided how they're gonna roll it out. And so they've come to them and said, hey, we did this in Manitoba, we think we could duplicate it in Alberta. And I should mention why they talked to us was, there was a needs assessment done 3 years ago maybe, might have been 2 or 3 years ago, showing that particularly in the south, we are woefully undersupplied in daycare spots. We have a huge vacuum here that has a real problem, and so that's why they're focusing on the south.
Yeah,
The mayor is correct in that it's difficult for the hospital. And if we get a new hospital, which I hope we're getting in the sometime next 50 years or 5 years or whatever it might be, we need that kind of stuff for people, younger parents.
yeah.
I know my daughter-in-law works at Lee Crest, and that's always been an issue of having to provide
Yeah.
the stuff outside of their workers, so they got places to put their kids while they're working. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is becoming, and with the teaching people in this town, same story, really.
How is it going to affect those who are doing daycare in their homes? Like,
It
they
does-
still will be able to, right? It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
gonna
It
put them
doesn't
out of
change
business.
nothing. It doesn't change, it adds to the pool, it doesn't subtract from the pool.
Well,
Well,
I mean,
Might.
At some
yeah,
point,
it definitely
mean-
could. We can't say it won't, because, for
if people
example,
change provider, yes,
well-
you never know.
yeah, I mean,
Could some of those people then be hired by
Yes,
this
there
group?
could be, yeah.
It goes to red.
Anyways, we need to do a next step decision here. Should we carry on and have administration start to contact them and look at possible location? Because that's another thing, we need to start with a location. Would this
I'd be in
council
favor of
be?
that, because nothing's gonna get done till they go through the province anyhow. Then we'll have a clear understanding of exactly how the province is accepting these. So I don't think we should kill it in the bud. I think we need to look forward
Right.
a little bit.
Thank you. Councillor Kenley?
I was gonna say, I'm good going further down the road. I mean, we're not committing to anything, but I'd like more information just on, I see 15 years, but what happens after 15 years kind of thing, like.
I can touch on that.
Yeah, the building comes back.
So the municipality will own the building. and they're not this far along in Manitoba yet, but the intent in Manitoba is all of those operators just will renew their lease, because they assume the demand won't go away. That in 15 years, the demand for daycare will be consistent,
What if it doesn't?
then you own a building. And part of it was, the reason was they felt if there was going to be an abandoned building sitting in a town, it was a municipality that would best know how to utilize it. And so it goes back there, but the assumption is that the operator will simply continue on in another lease.
So just continuing, I'd like more information, but is this, I know we just talked about the county, but is this, could this be a possible joint thing that you could look into, like a county, town-owned building, whatever that looks like, you know, half and half or whatever you agree to, but I think it would benefit all, and they might be a partner, so.
Yeah, we cannot close
At
those
least in
options.
the golf clubhouse.
Yeah, right.
Winter hours.
Winter hours.
Councillor Brown?
So you kind of answered a couple of my questions. I do love the idea, Counselor, of the county being brought into it. Why not? I think that's a great idea. My question was essentially, I don't, it's not that I want to kill this now. What is that next step? But you've kind of answered that already. So I would be in favor of, let's find out more about this before I.
I think we as a council have priorities, and this isn't one of them, but I don't think we should
Agreed.
squash this,
Agreed. Yeah.
whether it's our council or the next, so.
Okay, Councillor Granger? Yeah. Yeah. And I really honestly believe when you start to look at the demographic kind of curve, we need to bring young families to our town. We cannot carry on to rely on the over 60 years old. We need young families. But unless you have the support services for those young families, they won't come. So we need to look forward. All right? Thank
Do you
you.
need a
So
motion?
carry on.
I'm not opposed to it, but I'm probably a no vote later on, just to have, put that out there.
It's all right. It's all right, but doesn't mean that we stop looking.
Councilor Round has asked, but do you need a motion to continue?
Yeah, I think where, especially, and this is a great example, this isn't something you're unanimous on.
No.
And so I think it would be a good idea for someone, if you're in support of this, to direct administration to continue to the next steps with global builders. And then we'll bring it back to you.
There you go.
I'll go ahead with that if everyone's okay with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I will make a motion to direct administration to continue gathering information and from the Global Builds Daycare Project.
Thank you. Any more question? All in favor? Thank you. Did I see Councillor Granger? No. He's lost in his boxes.
We do have food for you here, Mayor, if this is.
Okay, maybe that's a good time to take a break.
Councillor
All
Kelly's
right,
got it.
Councillor
Make a motion
Kelly?
for 15 minutes.
Sure. All in favor? Thank you.
Right along here.
and that's like a Wednesday. And he said he thought that would be a great time to do a powwow because it's right in between the Blood Tribes powwow and the Pagani powwow. And he said, so we already have people that would be in these powwows in the community, and a midweek one would be fantastic. And he said, and then that way we're not, it's not Heritage Days or whatever, like this is a separate time. And so I said, great, I will take that back to council. The other thing that the chief brought up was, it was very kind, as he said, you know, well, where do you normally have it? And I told him where we typically have had it, at the football field. And he said, well, you're more than welcome to use our powwow area that we have in Standoff. If you wanted to use that, we would be honored to give it to you. He didn't say honored, but we would give it to you to use. And so I said, thank you so much. Again, I need to take this back to council. And then I said now, the question was asked by the rec board. They said, and on this rec board, we have people from Old Agency, we have Standoff, Laverne, and Moses Lake. So we have volunteers from all of those areas sitting at this table, as well as lots of administration from Blood Tribe sits there. And so Councillor Nish and myself were sitting there. We go to it monthly, like I said. And the question was, so how are you going to run it? What is it going to look like? And I said, well, I don't have any of this information because at the time I didn't. I just wanted to know if they thought a powwow for this year was good. And then the chief said, he said, well, what are your thoughts if this committee helps you design this powwow? And I said, look, I'm not talking $100,000 powwow, so I need y'all to just lower it, lower your expectations a little bit here, because that's not how we have it. And they said, the chief said, well, actually, he said, there are many different kinds of powwows. He's like, you could just have, and I don't need to go into all the things. Long story short, they want to work with us. Jeff went ahead and put in the Cardston Kainai Powwow Committee mandate and all of their things and everything, which I read through it, and it could fit with this board that I'm a part of-ish, because we already have Blood Tribe members there, but I'm not so sure it fits with this. I personally feel like this powwow, it would be great for us to utilize this committee that I work with and have worked with for the last 2.5, almost 3 years. I feel like it would be a really good, I mean, yes, it is the Town of Cardston's money and grant, and I asked how much money is in that bank account that can go towards the powwow. It's $5,000 right now. And of course, we haven't even looked at fundraising or anything, or, you know, if the Blood Tribe puts money in, I don't know anything like that. Essentially, why I wanted to bring it forward is I wanted to know your thoughts. Do you support it? Do you like the date? Because if in fact we do, we need to move quickly. And I have another meeting. I have 2 meetings this week with the Blood Tribe, and we can get things going if council supports this idea.
Yeah, the ones in the past worked really well. If you remember correctly, you were probably a new counselor at the time.
I was.
And we had a great big huge one down at the football field, and
Yep.
you were upset because the announcer knew me, but he didn't know you. But anyhow, because I probably taught him at school. I just have a little concern about holding it out there.
So if I can answer that, Mayor? So my question in regards to
First
that.
question, I have another one too.
My answer to that was, I think it would be better to have it here, just because better for our businesses, but I was thankful for the offer.
Right.
Okay, so,
And my second part is, I know they've got a date picked, but I thought we held that during the Heritage Week, and it was hugely successful. The last big powwow we had, they had food trucks there and everything else. So I would like to see it during Heritage Week, but that's just my 2 comments on that, so.
all right, so I kind of thought about the whole idea. From the comments that we had from all the dancers, many of them said the powwow that we held in Lions Park was a wonderful powwow, brought the community together. What I also felt, it felt very safe, and it was very well organized and extremely friendly in the atmosphere. So a lot of the dancers that came from all over the place thought it was a highly successful powwow. So I would prefer personally to see it in our town.
Yep.
But to address Councillor Court, there was something else that was extremely successful during the COVID, were those mini powwows. And I was wondering if for the Heritage Week, since we have some money for Heritage Week, if we could not have those mini powwow, if not over 3 days, over 2 days, and still have that
Absolutely.
not at the same time, but the idea, keep the mini powwow because it was so highly successful, and have the large powwow where we could finally even have those princesses donate their crown to the next group. There is a lot of work that had been done by David Ennis and our group. The way we had it the last time, we only had two people from the town. It was myself and David Ennis, and there was Marcel Wizerhead and his name escaped me, Bruce Head. What was his first name, Bruce Head? Anyway, Councillor Bruce.
Mr.
Yeah, Councillor Bruce Head was there. So those were the two, Dexter. So those were the two that were representing that. So we have one member that were official from each council and one member at large. And those 4 people, we then had many other little groups that were in charge of different type of thing in the operation. So this is why if you look inside there, you will kind of see how it was designed. Yes.
So I think it's a super idea to have powwows in town. I think it helps. To me, the primary reason we do it is to integrate our societies.
Right.
And so I think having it here would further that. And I know people I've talked to have really enjoyed going to them. And I think it would be nice to have something at Heritage Days, whatever it looks like. So a question that I have, Councillor Brown, I don't know if I quite understood when you were talking about, so when I read in here, we have a policy, like a powwow committee with its policies, and that looked really good. Are you saying that we would do something outside of that or within that?
Well, so that is the question. So this committee that I sit on, that I've been invited to, is made up of 20 plus people. Out of that 20 people, there's chief and counselors that come every month. And so am I saying, when I read through this mandate and the purpose and all things and all of it, it's fantastic.
Sounds good.
It does, but I don't know if I can make the two merge is what I would like to do.
So could I ask a follow-up question then? So in the policy surrounding that committee, it talks about, there'd be an equal number from both communities and things like that. I think that's all really smart, and I'm sure, we'd end up there anyway.
Yeah.
So on the financial end of it, in here it says that we would both contribute equally.
Yes.
And when you were talking something like maybe it was our powwow, is that
Yeah, it's,
different than,
okay.
how would we do that?
Can I maybe address that? Councillor Burton, the way it was done originally, it was always 2 communities having a common vision of trying to do exactly what you talked about. And so the idea was always to try to get an equal amount of funding, which was always the model on which the original power was designed. And so we always kicked in $5,000, and we have done a lot of in-kind, like all the rental of the field, the table, the chairs, the sound, the music, the tents, and all that stuff. So, and then we fundraised. And the local businesses were very, very kind to do that. So it used to be $5,000 is hardly enough. So one year, Marcel said, you know what, you're doing so much in-kind, and so I had all the budget. And he had the Blood Tribe give us $7,000 to kind of match our in-kind, and which helped us. The money that is left in the bank was from a grant that I had applied for, and we had $9,000. We kind of took some of that money for the mini powers at one point. So that is the leftover. But to do a power like that costs us about $20,000. So you get $5,000 and $5,000, $10,000. So you have to raise just about $10,000 in order to do one-day power. So that's where we at. So it's work. And we did it every year. We managed to do it every year. So
yeah, I think the in-kind is what we should do. I think that's great. And I just think it's a healthy thing to, as long as we're both contributing, or at least that we know what the expectations are.
yeah.
And the dollar amount, like, I have no problem with, if we put in 5 or 10, I don't have a problem with that at all.
So this is why we had a letter every year when we started the process, just about this time. The skeleton of the committee kind of met, and we wrote a letter to chief and council. First of all, right now, what we need to know who would be that member of council that would be representing chief and council in that committee. If that is a model we want to carry on using, who would be the member at large? It could be somebody from the Moses Lake or from one of your group, exactly what you have. The idea is to have 8 representatives altogether, so there could be 4 and 4. So you could have some people from those different kind of agencies that you have work with you on that. And as long as you have 1 elected official, and then you could have 3 non-elected from those people. And it has to be equal, fairly equal is better. And we had Zoom also, because often that could not be right there present. But we always made it work. And it took about 3 meetings in January, February, March, April, May, about 4 meetings, and then one just about a month before the event to make sure that everything was there, and then the week before the event to make sure everything was hunky-dory. So that's the way we had it organized. I think your idea to have it in July is fantastic. I like the idea, but I like also the idea of keeping something from Heritage Week because it was so successful.
I worry a bit, Pajaya, that the numbers won't be there. During Heritage Week, it was packed down there. If we're gonna hold it in July, we need to advertise the heck out of it at all the communities around Southern Alberta to get people here. Otherwise, it's just gonna be a few people from town and
Yeah.
Blood Tribe.
But, last time the churches worked with us and allowed us to advertise in the stake centers, which was great. That was President Liebert at that time, and really was very impressed with what happened there.
So obviously, if we're going to do a powwow, there will be advertising.
Yeah.
And we will get put on the powwow circuit, which was the point of him putting it where he
It's on the
put it.
TVs too, so.
But I mean, obviously, that's just obvious that
Yeah,
we're gonna do
yeah,
that.
I knew
We're not gonna put $20,000
I get
into something and not.
Flops.
Yeah, but that's not the point of this.
No.
I all along have expected that we would continue with demonstration powwows because they're fantastic and the locals love them and Blood Tribe loves them. This is separate. This is, I mean, if this council wants me to stick to this Cardston Kainai Powwow Committee, I mean, as of right now, I have chief and 3 counselors that I work with every month. And so I can give this to them. They, of course, know nothing about this because they're new and this wasn't even in because this is pre-COVID. But I can send this to them and see what their thoughts are, see if they would be willing to sit at this table. I guess essentially the reason I needed this brought forward is it's January. And if we're going to get $20,000, got to get running. So I just needed the support of council.
That's what I meant about the advertising, just early enough that we get things rolling.
Obviously.
I no doubt we're gonna
Yeah.
publicize it.
Yeah.
Councillor Kenley?
I was just gonna say, I don't think Counselor Brown doesn't know what she's doing in this, so I think whatever way she needs to get it done, whether it's this way or if she thinks a different committee way, I think we just go let her kind of roll with this, obviously with our blessing in a sense, but I think Heritage Days would be better, but if it's gonna be kibosh because of that, I think we go with whatever's gonna happen to make it happen, but, yeah.
Councillor
Feel the
Burton,
same way,
Councillor
I would
Jensen.
support whatever you think.
That's how I feel.
If you feel the committee's best, let's do that. If you feel non-committee's best, I'll support you that way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really think you have our blessings.
So I just want to be clear, so the 20,000 is coming directly from town council, or is that
No, no,
20,000
no.
with Blood Tribe as well?
Okay, Councillor,
So probably 10 and 10.
Just the aggregate amount.
no. Councillor, the way it goes is, it always was one basic money from our budget, and has been forever 5,000, and then matching. So if they want to match and add the in-kind, that's fine. If they don't, so it's 5,000, 5,000. Then we have our in-kind that has a monetary value, and then you have to deal with all the dances and all that. And the prices for the dancer is established really by what is normally going on at that point. So our rate might be a little low. And then we had a drive, literally, with the merchants in town and with, if you have so much contact with the Blood Tribe, they have a lot of sponsors that help them with powers that they can possibly help us with. And then once you have that pool of money, you're good. And knowing that we have a little bit in the bank helps, but then if we do the media power, we may need some of that money too. All right, so that's the way it is. But the budget, Jeff, am I correct in saying that you may have $5,000 in a budget for it?
Well, in that account, we have $5,000 in the powwow
No,
account.
no, that's separate.
Yes.
That is a separate thing. So we should have 5,000, but does the town have, like in the past, $5,000 set aside
No,
in
we
a
weren't
budget?
contemplating this
No.
at the budget, so no.
No, we have money set aside for Heritage Days. But we do not have money set aside for the powwow for this year. All we have is the $5,000 that is in that account.
Yep.
So this year we didn't budget for it like we did in the past.
We haven't budgeted for a major powwow for
For
a
3
while.
years.
Yeah.
Been a while.
4
Yeah,
years.
for a
Since
while.
you were right on council.
Okay,
Already knew.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, at least we have 5,000 still. Yes,
No, not all of it.
Some of it. I think 15 is.
Agreed.
No, sorry, I don't have it on me, Counselor. You threw me off a little bit there when you said the powwow money was set aside for the Ag Society.
Oh, he's saying the heritage money.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. That is what it's always been. Correct. Yes, that's right. Yep.
Okay. Okay, so there is
Got to
also.
work that out. Yeah.
There is also something, apparently there's quite a few cultural grants that we can access, so that may be something that somebody can look into. All right, so thank you so much for that. So I think we okay with saying that, carrying on. If you want,
Okay,
if you need me to help you with what I gave you,
sounds good.
I will do that if you want to.
Okay.
Under 6D, Golf Course Clubhouse,
The delegation.
we have drawings that have been reviewed by Councillor Kenley, by administration. And I think what I need is a resolution to approve the drawing so we can finally move forward.
I would like to make a motion to approve the clubhouse drawings as presented.
Any questions regarding that? If not, let's move on. All in favor? Thank you. All right, so we have the Ag Society agreement. There again, Councillor Burton has done a lot of work on that with Jeff and with the Ag Society leadership. So we appreciate all the reviews that have been done. So what we need now is to adopt the latest draft.
Jeff, should I just make a comment on the two changes?
You bet.
So,
I can too if you want, but
no,
yeah.
you do it, because then you know where to look.
Sure.
Right.
I can't get mine open again.
Yeah, there's
so.
two things that have been amended since you've last seen it. One was a section 8F, which is some wording about how the transfer of assets that are being managed by the Ag Society will transfer to the town at the execution of the lease. This clause was approved by the accountant that the Ag Society uses as well as ours. And then section 13 was added, which is dealing with expulsion from the premises. So this is relying on the policy that council just reviewed, and that any expulsion from premises would be dealt with under that policy by the town. So the society themselves would not do that. And then there was one small amendment, Councillor Burton, I don't know if you want to elaborate, but section 15, just under the environmental compliance.
So the original one was they're responsible for any environmental damage, and they said, well, in a way, a pile of manure is environmental damage. So what we did is we just inserted the words Environmental Protection and Enhancement Act. In other words, if they're off with that, they're offside. And that's a pretty comprehensive, aggressive piece of legislation, so I think we're okay there. So those are the only changes.
Do you want to put a motion forward?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I move that we
Adopt.
approve, I think, right? That we would approve,
Approve? Adopt, I don't know.
whichever you want, whatever, I'll say approve, that we approve the lease agreement with the Cardston Agricultural Society as presented.
Okay, no more questions? All in favor? Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I see that our 7 o'clock delegation is here. So, do you want to go
We can go in and out.
in closed session at this point? Okay, we really don't have very much more. There will be discusses, correspondence, and report. Okay? Thank you so much.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you.
Want to wait until we come back to